Hey, what up? This is Robin Davis, and we're here with Zander Esty from Placer High School. He's an offensive lineman who has committed to
Oregon State.
Oregon State Beavers. That's right.
Corvallis.
Right off the bat, what was it about Oregon State that got you excited?
Well, it took me a minute to choose my commitment, just because my first visit was to Oregon State, and I didn't know what the opportunity I had was so special. I ended up taking my visit to Oregon State. I held off on the commitment, and then I went and checked out Cal. And I both of my options kind of swayed between each other, and then I wanted what was really real, just because the coaches and the whole staff was so real with me. So I just ended up choosing Oregon State for location and people.
Yeah, beautiful. Corvallis is beautiful.
Yeah.
Great Reser Stadium. It's going to be an awesome to play in.
Yeah.
Great facility. So that's awesome. I love to hear that. I don't think they call it what they called it before, which is the Civil War anymore, but that's such a great.
They do. I'll be there. I'll be there this weekend.
That, right? That's a great rivalry as Oregon and Oregon State. And it's time for Oregon State to start really taking it to those Ducks, huh?
Oh yeah, no, and with them rebuilding their program, and it's going to be awesome this year.
Exactly. So this year, Placer was just such a dominant high school this year, and there sadly had a tripped up in the playoffs. But let's talk about some of the games. And when I first saw you, you were down at Lincoln High, and I see you dominate on the field, and you have your top athlete across the country. But what I wanted to bring up is Lincoln had a kid that had a cramp, and you went over and helped that kid. You were the one that went over there and started stretching his leg out, and his whole team ran right past him and you were there helping him until the trainers got there. And I just wanted to point out that that's a huge tribute to who the person you are and what Oregon State's gonna get. When you're on the field and you're out there and dominating stuff, what's kind of the conversation? Because a lineman's different. You're in a battle hand to hand every time. Are you talking smack to them, or are you kind of friends and making friends while you're out there? What type of a lineman are you?
Well, I mean, of course, there's always you can smack talk a little bit, but everything is always in between the whistle. I learned in the beginning of the year. I had a little trouble at the end of the game outside the whistle, and I think that really taught me, just keep everything between the whistles, and do your job, do it at a high level. And but yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's all respect for every player, and that's really it. Just respect for every player, and keep everything between the whistles.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you even apply that in such a big rivalry game with Lincoln. A lot of history there, but it's really good that kids put that to the side, because I think some kids, it gets into their head.
Yeah,
that's those are the wrong colors basically, and so I think that will be a good thing for Oregon State basically. But when you go to Oregon State, I want to know, like, what's the plan for you, first step, because you're not the big dog anymore in a big collegiate program like that. So Absolutely. What is going to be step one for you? What is the first goal that you want to hit hard over at that program in the lineman room?
Well, of course, I think everyone's first step is, get on that field and go play under those lights with everyone Saturday night. But, of course, I think the first thing for me would just to be, serve the team, serve the seniors, serve all those people that have been there for so long, have earned their spot, And that's really my first step, just build and get bigger, buy into the program, and, just serve all those seniors.
Yeah. Thank you. And then I needed to get that question out, but back to Placer. There were some big games, close games against Castle Roble, Roseville, Vista. And it's hard for teams to have so many close games, but also finish. All three of those games were wins against very tough teams. Roseville improved very much last year. Casa was a power.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So what did your team build, and how do you think that contributes to you guys going that extra step basically and finishing out those games? whether or not you guys are tied or not, basically.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us this year, last year we kind of would get caught up in our own shoelaces and get tripped up, like maybe a ref would make a call and the whole team would kind of trip up on it and, dwell on it. I think a big thing this year, I heard Montoya, our head coach, say our best teams are the ones that don't worry about the big, worry or, trip up on these little calls or trip up on things and just keep their head cool and everything. I think that was the biggest thing this year was keeping our head cool through everything. And, no matter what the game is, no matter where we're at, we know when we need to clutch up and, make the right moves and everything. But I think everything is just keeping our head cool the entire game.
What's a typical, process you go for being prepared for football? Like, we've interviewed some people like Bobby Pylan last year. Now he's at Air Force. Like, he was up at 4:00 in the morning working with Rico Flores. Are you an extra, working out in the off season type of player? Like, what is your dedication to the sport?
Oh, absolutely. Last year, I kind of have always figured I will go to college at some point. I've always had that in my mind. And last year I really wanted to put it into action. So right after the season ended last year, I think I was in the gym that next week going back to it. And I was waking up at 6 and I go back to the gym at like 7 in the afternoon. So I did the gym twice a day. And then Sunday, it was either Saturday or Sunday. I think it was Saturday. We'd have Lyman Wins Games, which is a camp over in Sac at ARC with all those ARC coaches. So they definitely do a great job. So it usually every morning, night, Sundays, I'd work after Lyman Wins Games and go get a little bit of work in the gym. And then summer came along, took my visits, went to practice, got in condition, kept my feet right. But yeah, I definitely say that I put in a little bit of extra work to get where I am now.
I'm going to ask you a question, and this is kind of honoring my other co-host and partner and producer, Chris.
Yeah.
But you're ideal for these questions, and he always asks these questions, and I think they're important for you. Usually it's 3 questions, and just kind of it pertains to football, what you do as a football player.
Yeah.
So the first thing is, what is it that you feel that you do well?
I feel I'm a good leader, not vocally exactly. I wouldn't say I'm the best vocal leader, but just leading by example and doing the right thing most of the time.
Nice. Then what do you feel you need to work
on? Consistency. I would say consistency for me. Sometimes I'll get a little lazy and, maybe I won't go to the gym a day, or I won't go as hard as I need to. Mostly in my off time, when I'm around people, I'll always go as hard as I can because I want to lead by example. But just staying consistent with everything, and that's about it, though.
And then, you've played for a while, you're doing stuff, you're moving forward, but what would you do differently?
What would I do differently?
No, that's a tough one.
Yeah, like a style or something like that.
So what would you do different? What would you wish you could have done differently, and maybe
differently in
football, in your career?
In what? Football in general. Okay.
Yeah.
What would I do differently? Well, I think everything I've done so far has gotten me to the place I'm at now. So not a whole lot I do differently. Mm-hmm. I think some every junior would always want to do is serve their seniors a little bit better and get them some more games. But I think that's about it. Everything I've done now, man, I don't have any really regrets.
Awesome. Yeah, because underclassmen, they know next year's there. But once you're
absolutely
in a game like against Wood Creek, like it's win or go home, basically.
Yeah.
That
was actually eye-opening. That was a big answer.
Yeah,
that was really good.
Yeah, and especially for the seniors who aren't going to college, basically.
Exactly. That's exactly. And you always want everyone to get, as many games as they can in high school.
Yeah. The Placer's such an amazing storied program. Montoya's done such a great job. There's been some really good names that have come out of Placer. 10 years from now, you're with the boys. You guys are having some type of reunion and stuff. What's the conversation like?
Man, I don't know. I'd say we just go over a bunch of memories. I think that's what we already do.
Yeah.
We're just hanging out and we're going over things that happen in, PJH, the junior team, below, how Lyman or Lincoln has the junior team too. So I don't know. We always go over memories and just enjoy everything and look back on the past.
Is that Lincoln game such a big circle every year for Placer?
Oh, dude, absolutely. I remember I think I was 12. We played Lincoln in the championship game at the Roseville Field, and we ended up losing to them. And that was like the biggest heartbreak ever. But then we get into high school. I don't know if I said it enough, but we have never beat Lincoln once, except for this year.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. That was big for you to, yeah, I can see that. That's such an amazing rivalry.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I know that Lincoln has never let up. They're like, oh man, we beat this team, this team. We got them in the bag every year, but they always show out. They've never not given us a game. So
yeah.
And then again, like having that fire, like what is your relationship with Montoya basically? And because Montoya, he finds a way to reload his team basically every year. I've never really seen much of a rebuild basically.
yeah.
So what is your relationship and what have you learned most from a big figure in Coach Montoya?
Oh man, this started a while ago. So the relationship with Montoya, me and him actually have the same birthday, and I don't really know a whole lot about Montoya, but in the PGH program, someone told me that I had the same birthday as Montoya, and I remember going up to him when I was, I don't know, 10. I told him happy birthday, and he didn't know it was my birthday. He didn't know me a lot, but he's always had his eye on me. And then the next year, he told me that I've always been special and stuff. So I don't know. We always just kind of had like a closer bond. I'd say not any different than anybody else, because I know he treats everyone the same. But the relationship with Montoya, man, I always look up to him, and he always leads by example. So it's just something that I follow.
Yeah. What you look at that Pac-12, right? And you're going to start doing that. I mean, you obviously have the Oregon rivalry and stuff, but is there a certain stadium that you can't wait to play in besides playing at Reeser? Like, is there a stadium that you just go, I can't wait to run through this tunnel and go out on this field on an away team's field?
Well, I did visit Cal, so I'd say running through Cal's tunnel, I think that would be kind of cool. I really like their Memoriam Stadium. Stadium. It's a pretty cool spot.
That's a pretty good spot, huh? A USC?
Yeah.
No?
Man, I'm gonna be honest, man. I don't do a whole lot of studying on the schools that never offered me. So
yeah, Washington's a pretty amazing
that place
stadium.
is loud. Like you'll hear it. Like once you get out there, that place is loud.
Yeah. No, UNLV. I mean, they play in the Raiders Stadium. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. In your high school, you're going to leave Placer. It's coming up. You're going to graduate and all that stuff. What do you want people to remember you by?
As a leader, I'd say just remember me as a leader, and someone that you can follow by example, someone that you can look up to and follow in his footsteps, or learn or don't learn from. I want to be someone that people can learn from.
And how did you develop that? Gets a lot of underclassmen, they'll just look to the quarterback type of thing, or they'll, people don't think of linemen when you think of a well-balanced team. So how do you think you've developed that in your high school career?
Sorry, can you repeat that question? I was kind of lost.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So how do you develop this leader role, basically, and earning your stripes, basically, as a lineman?
Yeah. Man, I feel like there's leaders all over the team. I said, there's a running back leader, and of course the QB is supposed to be the big leader of the team and all that. But there's always a lineman leader, and I'd say usually that's the center, or usually it's the center for the leader of the lineman group. And last year I was a junior, so I kind of had to back off from being a leader, because usually it's a seniors team, So I say this year I really stepped up as just being the leader that the lineman needed. I kind of just threw myself in that role this year, And I tried doing it last year, but it was a little struggle because, you know, you're a junior, you're the underclassman in that class. So, yeah.
And as a lineman, who do you think you emulate most, and like who do you look up to as a lineman?
My dad. I 100% look up to my dad.
Yeah, and I do remember because your brother played as a lineman. Because I remember,
Yeah,
and he wore the same number as you, and I
Yep.
remember he basically. So yeah, what is that? What's the dinner table? How competitive is the family basically? Like,
Well, it's got a lot of food on it.
bro.
yeah, absolutely. People always ask, you know, how much is the food bill? But anyways, my brother, I wouldn't. Of course, my sophomore year, I got pulled up. My brother, that was COVID year, and me and my brother were definitely the most competitive, I'd say, on that team. But I think always growing up, I've always followed my brother in his footsteps and learned from everything that he has gone through, everything that he messed up on or he did good on. You know, I've always followed and just gone through his footsteps. Absolutely. And then, and then just following my dad. I've always kind of like sat back and just watched people and learn. And then it was my time to shine this year, and I threw it all together.
That's really cool.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna have a fun one right now.
All right.
All right, so we're talking about what, 4 or 5 years from now, maybe. NFL draft's coming. Who's that team you want to be drafted by?
Well, I think the obvious one would be the Niners. You know, you're playing for your hometown. San Francisco's close, right?
Yeah.
But my dad played on the Broncos and the Patriots. So I think if I follow in his footsteps, went to the Patriots, I feel like that'd be cool. You know, he grew up in Massachusetts. I play for where my dad grew up at. So
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to see if you played the dad card there. But good on the, the hometown local team,
Yeah. But if it really comes down to it, man, I'm picking anywhere that chooses me. Anywhere at all.
You're going to be happy there, right? You're going to want to
Absolutely, man. I'm getting paid to go play football, man. Put me in there.
Absolutely. You know what, Zander, I thank you for coming on What Up Sports. I've really appreciated interviewing you. You know, we really talk about, learning from greatness, and a lot of people are going to learn something from you. So I really appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Happy Thanksgiving. This comes out a little bit later, but, in the next couple of days, they're all celebrating Thanksgiving. So thankful to you and the things that you've been able to do, and also come on with What Up Sports, and have an amazing
career.
Thank
you guys.
Watch you at Oregon State, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right, everybody, what up? Thanks for coming, and we will see you next show.